and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Living with My Ex with, of course, my ex-girlfriend, which is now my wife. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Anka Hendricks. Yay!
Woo! Don't I get a drum roll? Hey, everybody. We are back, and yes, baby. I know we love together, but how was your week so far?
It was good. It was nice. It was actually today is a topic I don't really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a somber topic, and I'm also not really.
It's a heartier topic.
Yeah, this is a topic that gets me very upset, and I try to also avoid topics like this. But before we jump into it, I just want to say that, we've started a new routine now, a morning routine. And I'm kind of feeling like something about it, like our new routine. So for those of you that know us, right, me and Xavier do everything together. Like we'll drive in one car and drop the kids, pick up the kids. We do most things together. Well, 90% of our lives is together. And we've changed our routine, and I feel some sort of way about it, and I feel like you're a little bit too excited and happy about our new routine.
No, because you know why? I don't like the first part, but I like the part afterwards.
Because I feel like that's the time when we really get into it in our conversations, and we grow. And now I feel like that part of us is like we're growing apart. I feel that much.
Yeah,
it's been 3 days. It's been 3
the part
days.
that I don't like is when is kind of like when you dictate my next.
It's not that I'm dictating.
2 hours of my life.
Your
then
kids
I'm like,
dictate.
yeah, no.
Your kids dictate that, because the reality of the matter.
And then you put me under pressure.
So
like,
you want the kids
to do this.
Yeah, but you want the kids to stay outside at school. They must just wait for you until you are done with whatever you want to do. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, but I also don't want to interject into in the middle of what I'm doing, because it becomes.
I hear what you're saying, but what you're essentially saying is, you kinders gaan optel daai tyd. You want to go when you want to go. When you're done with your tasks, then you want to go pick up your kids. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you're hearing nonsense.
So how do you want to remedy it? If we had one car and we had to do all of these things, how am I interjecting your
Then you
life?
go do the things that you need to do for the pots to be done. Then you come back.
But it's our kids.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, that's why I take them in the morning.
Now it works. Now there's a balance, and I feel some sort of way, because those of you that know me, I hate driving, and I hate driving alone even more. But
anyway, let's get into the conversation today. So a couple of weeks ago, it was actually reported that we spoke about it on the show on Monday also, Jay and I, and it's a developing story actually that's busy happening as we speak right now, where there's a young lady named Joslin Smith. She's 6 years old. And part of the reason I feel some type of way, because my daughter is 6 years old.
yeah.
And so I can just imagine. I cannot imagine, and I don't want to imagine my little girl not knowing where she is, who she's with, where her parents are. Why? I mean, my kids, they start getting edgy if we take too long, or if they not sure where we are, or if they already start like, where's my parents? I want my parents. If I'm alone with them and you take too long and you say you're coming back now, and then you end up going on your missions, and you come back whenever you end up coming back, then they start getting annoyed. They're like, where's mommy? She said she's not going to go for long. Why has she gone so long?
I'm with my kids 24/7, and when I do something just for a breather, I think I can have an extra hour or two.
Yeah, and the same with me. So if I'm at church later, whatever, my kids start asking, where's daddy? Why is he not coming home?
It's a culture.
Why is he so late? Like,
accustomed to, yes.
They become like edgy when we're not around. So I cannot even begin to imagine my 6-year-old wandering around and not knowing where her parents are with some strangers that she doesn't know. And so Joslin's mother goes out to go and report the fact that the child is missing. Upon further investigation, it then comes out that the story then comes out that she took the child to be looked after by her boyfriend, right? And the stories then start becoming a bit foggy and a bit mixed, because Then it's told that the child was playing outside, but then it's also told that the child was taken in because the child was sick, so the boyfriend went to go look after the child. So the stories then really start becoming a little bit all
There's a
over
few
the place,
holes
right?
in the story.
Yeah. So it starts just sounding like someone's hiding something, and it starts sounding like, nah, bruh, something's off here. So needless to say, the story then begins to unfold. I know the Patriotic Alliance had a massive push towards we're gonna find this child, we're gonna make sure. I know my personal friend Ashley Souls, he calls himself from Biza. He was there in fact, most of the PA.
The top leadership of PA got physically
involved, like actually looking and scratching and digging and doing everything that needs to be done. Gayton was there, Ashley was there, Ombiza. They were literally looking physically for the child. So upon that, a lot of people started speculating that, there's something off about the mother and there's something off about the boyfriend. That it just seems like they know more than they're letting, than they're putting forth. They seem to be covering up, or they seem to be hiding some information. And a lot of people felt that way. Again, that's all speculation. That's all kind of just alleged speculation to say that, something's off about these people. Something sounds a bit weird.
Even up until this day, there's no hardcore facts to say, okay, that this definitively happened. It's all allegations.
Before we carry on with the conversation, please do comment in the comment section if you've been following the story, what your thoughts are, just so we can also just see your thoughts and your views on it in the comment section. So, what adds insult then to injury is the fact that it then comes out that the mother and the boyfriend are on drugs. And usually what goes with that is that when people are addicted like that, they do some interesting and weird things, right? And sometimes they could put the lives of their own offspring at risk. So a lot of people started feeling like there's something to be said about the fact that she's on drugs. There's something to be said about the fact that she might have something to do with this whole situation. A lot of people started speculating that there could be more to the story. There could be more to the situation. And again, back to the original story is that it's all still speculation, but it's really, there's a lot of things that are starting to pop up that is really starting to point towards them knowing more than they're letting off. And then the video came out, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, where there was a car and apparently the child was put into the car. And so it's really just becoming a bit skeptical.
Yeah, is it a white car? I've seen the video, but I don't see.
Yeah, like a white car in a parking lot, something like that.
Yeah, but there's
I haven't seen a child, but I'm not sure exactly what the whole scenario is around. Guys, can you say in the comment section what's happening if you've been following the story?
If you guys have been following, you know a little bit more about it, because I have seen the video, but I don't see a child, because I try to look at it a couple of times to see if there's a child being put into the car. They just look like a couple of men getting into a car. Yeah, that's
so again, there's a lot to be said. There's a conversation to be held as far as human trafficking is concerned. There's a conversation to be held as far as drug abuse and drug addiction is concerned, because all these elements play a role. There's a conversation to be held. Then they found clothes in a field, right? Not even in a field, like on a beach kind of setup, right? And they said there was blood on the clothes, this, that, and the other. Upon further investigation, some people were saying that it is Joslin's blood. Some people were saying no. The parents were saying that that's not her shorts. So is there a cover up?
The challenge here is everyone is jumping on it and everybody's trying to get a bit of clout, and how sad it's a sad situation entirely, and it baffles my mind that people come out just to get the views, just to get the following, whatever, because there's a lot of fake information on TikTok and on social media. I mean, there's videos concerning the fact that they found the body. Like if you search that, it comes up, and there's no sound or anything on that, and it turns out it's just it's the site where the clothes and the clothing items were found, but they tag it to say that the body was found. It is so cruel. It is so inhumane to want to do something like that purely because you want the views and purely because you want the following or whatever. it's wrong. And now what that does is it makes a whole misleading of information as to what really happened. And what it also does is the whole investigation, it really bungles
Kind
up.
of taints it.
It
Yeah.
taints the investigation to say, okay, fine, what's the next steps forward? Because there's people are getting involved personally. People are, I mean, even when they were busy looking for the child, it was constantly on social media. Oh, we're here now, we're there now. If she may still be alive, and if she was still in the area, and her kidnappers whatever have her, it's clues as to get away out of the area. The space is hot. We need to leave. So it makes the situation so much more difficult, but it's so inhumane. And regardless of what the circumstances are involved, there's family members involved.
So there's a movie I watched that you didn't want to watch, as far as the whole trafficking situation is concerned, and when I see how this is playing out, it's kind of reminding me of that movie, and how there's like a whole syndicate behind taking these little kids and doing all that kind of stuff. And it's scary. Like we have 2 daughters, and we have to have that conversation with our daughters like all the time. When we get to the mall, you hold my hand, you walk in front of me, don't walk next to me, don't walk behind me, walk where I can see you.
When we get to the
there's
car,
no such thing as going to the bathroom by yourself. No.
whether we're at a restaurant, whether we feel
The
like
one
we're in a
nice
safe
thing-
space, no.
The one nice thing I like about the malls now is there's that family toilet, so which is nice
Yeah.
because I have 2 daughters and I'm the father, so I can't necessarily go into the woman's toilet with. Bruh, I've had situations where my kid is pressed, and I'll keep my hands over her eyes. We'll go into the men's bathroom, and we'll find an open stall, a one that's clean, and I'll lock the door and make sure my child is safe in that stall. Make sure she's done peeing or doing whatever she wants to do there, and then open up again, and then make sure she washes her hands, keep her eyes closed if there's men standing at the urinal or whatever. But there's not a chance in heaven or hell that I will allow my daughter to go in, any of my daughters to go in the woman's toilet even by themselves. There's no way I'm allowing that. So as a father, I feel some type of way about this whole thing, and how it's playing out. And again, for the sake of the conversation here is really we want to kind of have the conversation because our podcast and our segment of the podcast is always about family, always about marriages, always about, we want to kind of have the parenting conversation here today. Because do you feel that parenting has changed over the past couple of years? I feel it and I see it, right? Corporal punishment has changed. You being able to not punish your children, but to correct and discipline your children has become like a taboo thing. Like, oh, you can't hit your child, you can't this and that. I understand to a certain extent that there were people that were abusing children, like throwing the child with something or clapping the child in the face. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actual corporal punishment. 2 smacks on the bum. Stop it. Don't do that. Yes, mommy. Does that. I'm not talking about where you hitting the child
Smack
like
the child
a
against
big
the
person.
wall and that kind of thing.
No. That's abuse.
So if we have to go back into the way our parents did it, and if I have to look at how my grandparents did it,
I saw a comment here, but now
I
it's
did.
gone.
It's also gone.
Did you read it?
I read the gist of it. It's basically if sorry guys, it's gone because you're throwing me off track now. Sorry. I did read some of it, but I got the gist. I think it has to do with if social media didn't get so involved. If I'm wrong, please help me out. The SAPs would have gotten further with us from day one. Anyway,
I would actually argue the opposite of it. But anyway, finish your thought.
I could be wrong. I just got the gist. I just read through it. But if we have to go back into how our parents did it, and I think, and I say this all the time, I say I say that anything in life needs balance. Anything needs to be done in balance, because if I have to go back with my parents or grandparents, and specifically maybe from my dad's side or whatever, their disciplining techniques were extreme. To the point where
it's now borderlining abuse.
Yeah, but back in the day that was normal. Like a child needs to be disciplined properly, and it was considered normal, but it was borderline abuse. And then if I go down to us, yes, we got our hidings. We did. I didn't get any hidings from my father. My father just couldn't. But my brothers got nice hidings, and my mother used to give me hidings. But what that did was it instilled a sense of right and wrong. For me specifically, it instilled a sense of right and wrong. So there had to be a sense. I mean, it's biblical. The Bible says, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." So you need to discipline your child. I don't know. I can't vibe with the whole timeout thing. It just doesn't work for me.
Look, we have two children, and I noticed that our eldest daughter, if you just speak about her harshly, she listens, right? The younger one, you have to, even if you give her hiding on the bum, she's
that
like,
one,
she
yeah.
doesn't care. She'll continue doing what she. So with her, you have to like take something away from her that she likes, or you have to
That one
like
tests
actually,
the gangster in me.
that one you have to like take away her tablet or take away
Yeah,
something
so-
for like an hour, and then she'll listen and she'll be like, okay.
So, and having said that, and I mean, we are no experts on the topic on parenting, and there's no right or wrong way. There's no book to specifically parent a child. We live in a world, or we live in a space where each child is different. I mean, I can tell you all of the fact that I have 3 siblings, and all of us were raised in one home, but we have different personalities. We have different thought patterns. We have different ways of doing things because we're individuals. And likewise, you can't raise your child with like having this mold and raise all your children with that one mold, because what may work for this child might not necessarily work for the next child, like you said. And this is usually the case with older kids. With older kids, you really stamp down because it's your first child and you want to do it right, so you're on point with the disciplining. And then with the second one, you kind of like you more like not relax, but you're more like, okay, maybe it wasn't necessary to do that. Maybe it wasn't necessary to approach it like this. And they get away with a little bit more. And get this. Kids are master manipulators. They know exactly what they're doing and how to get what they want. But you can't raise or implement the same things to each child. So, like you said, our oldest she's OCD, so she's to the point. She gets things done. And if she steps out of line and you just talk, like really give like a stern conversation, and she'll get it done. The other one, that one doesn't wear the helmet on the motorbike.
No, that one doesn't worry. But back to the kind of the crux of what we're speaking about today, right? We kind of touching a little bit on parenting. Do you feel that that drug abuse and drug addiction, especially I know drug addiction in the Western Cape, especially in the brown communities, is a massive issue. It also fuels the gangsterism issue. It also fuels, among other things, the fact that the kids are kind of wandering around on their own. Kids are walking to school on their own. I mean, in South Africa in 2024, you don't even want to leave your child 5 minutes somewhere alone, let alone let them walk to school all by themselves. What influence do you think that the drug addiction actually has on what actually happened here, or how this case played out?
We have to remember that, especially people who have been drug addicted for years, and we're talking about meth and tuck, all of that, it literally alters the psyche of the person. So the person who you knew growing up, and the person that was loving, nurturing, and caring, that person is no longer there, because the drugs have basically altered that person's psyche and way of doing things and thinking. So it's easy to come by and judge people, whatever, but having gone through that and going through the drug addiction or whatever, a person like that, they don't know most of them can't differentiate from wrong or right. I mean, we had the whole issue with the whole Alan Pakis, right? To the point where the mother was scared of her own son, because he's not there anymore. The child that she knew growing up and the child that she raised is no longer there. And it's easy to judge from the outside. Yeah, how could a mother? That is how a mother could. The elements from outside has changed that person to the point where they're not recognizable anymore. That motherly instincts aren't there anymore. Given that not all of them are like that, I mean, we have a personal case where a family member was on drugs as well, but she was intense about protective over her kids. She was very intense, to the point where she overcompensated for her kids. But it's different for everyone, so you can never say that this is the this is the cookie cutter, this is the mold for everyone. But in some cases, it does change the psyche, but not in all, but in some.
So here the speculation is now, I don't know where this number comes from, right? But it's a number that is being thrown around, and it is being tossed around, 20,000 rand, right? And what's connected to this number is the fact that the child was sold, right? And there's some people that are commenting that the child was sold to some gomas. Some people are commenting. So at this point, it's all just speculation, right? At this point, nothing has definitively been confirmed that this is indeed the situation. But there is a number being thrown around for 20,000 rand. How, in your opinion, how likely is something like that to be the case?
Look, if you're on drugs, you're going to want to see your next fix. And 20,000 rand sounds like a lot for someone who doesn't have it. If I don't have 20,000 rand, it's going to be a lot to me. So in a person that is always in a space of there's not much of anything around, when 20,000 rand is offered to you, you don't think straight, and especially if you're using drugs, like in your mind, I don't think you think something through like that. I can speak to you from a point of being sane and being here and being overly protective over my kids, to the point where I want to be waiting outside of school for my kids because I want to know they're safe. I can speak to you from that point, but I'm not sure what could go on in the mind of a mother like that, given the fact that her psyche could have been changed by the drugs that she uses.
I'll ask you this question, right? I was following a story. And I don't understand why you become the way you become when I tell you about these stories. But you sit and watch Crime Channel the whole day. You sit and watch Crime Channel the whole day.
Hold up.
But if I tell you the stories, I don't hear. I don't listen to that. Why did you show me this? No, then I'm like, wait, what? How? I'm short-circuiting here.
Listen. And I've said this a couple of times. I watch Crime Channel because I want to know how they solve a case. And I think psychologically for me, when I have to backtrack, it's different when it comes to, and my maternal instincts kick in, because I think my kind is this age and my child is this age. And in my mind, this could happen to my child. So I don't want to even, why are we doing things to kids? They are defenseless. They don't know. We're supposed to protect them. We the adults, we the parents, we're supposed to protect them.
So this reminds me.
So I can't, psychologically, I just can't.
I'm going to mention it because it's connected to the story. It reminds me of the story that I was following with the whole Chris Watts situation, right?
That's also another thing that I just couldn't watch.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. You get Crime Channel about you, then you become like this when I talk about these things.
Because it's such a heavy topic.
I know. So Crime Channel people killing child is not heavy.
No, what they do is, the episodes I watch, they show how they solved the case. They show which scientific.
Yeah. So the point I'm making about the
That's what I'm about.
The point I'm making about the Chris Watts thing is because how they solved that case was a particular strategy that was used that I'm feeling is also being used in this case now,
Like
and
the
this is how
psychological aspect.
No, not the psychological aspect. The aspect of putting a big spotlight on from a media perspective, right? Because for those of you who are not familiar with the Chris Watts case, and then see if you can see the comparisons between the two, right? With the Chris Watts case, right? It's a lady named Shanann, and she's pregnant with a kid, and they have two daughters. Yeah, they have two daughters as well. It's on Netflix, I think, American Family or something. They have two daughters as well, and so he starts jolling with someone at work or wherever else he met this person. And so now, in his mind, the only way for him to live happily ever after with this chick is to get rid of his current wife and his children, right? So he then basically, what were you going to say?
No, go.
He basically then comes through and same thing. The next door neighbor comes,
because they were friends,
phones the police and says, hey, I'm trying to phone my friend and she's not answering. There's something wrong here. The police say, what do you mean there's something wrong? She says, no, I speak to my friend all the time. I speak to her every day. By now she would have answered. By now she would have got back to me. Please, can you go check what's going on? So they come to the house, they knock on the door.
Do a welfare
They
check.
see there's no one's answering. They go around the back, they knock. They think maybe she fainted because she had a low blood pressure or whatever. They knock, nothing. They end up phoning the husband. They phone him, they say, my brother, listen here, something's wrong here. We're not finding your wife. Do you know where the kids are? Can you find out what's going on? He doesn't know what's going on. He rushes home. Same thing, he's looking there. He soek some. You're not paying attention. He soek some. He's looking. He's also just keeping him dumb there, looking under the things, looking there. The police come in. When last did you say, no, I saw them. Yeah, I saw them there. I spoke to her this time. I spoke to her that time. He's also just playing the game along, right? Playing the game along. Which again brings me back to this Joslin case, where a lot of people that were watching the interviews were like, and something looks off here. This mother looks a bit.
Yeah, everyone's become investigators.
Everyone's now become these investigators. The body language. The way she's smiling.
And that isn't the advent of watching Crime Channel. I mean, we watch these investigative techniques and you look for body language and all of that. Given not everybody reacts the same, not everybody is the same emotional or psychological state. So, that's also just pure speculation. But we have all become investigators now. Yeah, the other comment is back now. But it says, if SAPS took, Sidonia Jacobs says, hi, by the way. She says that if SAPS took this case seriously from day one, I think she could have been found by now. There has been so much delays on this case, but they saying that the mother and the boyfriend is involved.
So, and now, I'm going to get to what Gayton was saying, because he says also they were being blocked and he feels like there's some higher power involved here because of the way they were told they can't do this and they can't do that. It's almost as if someone's trying to control what's going on. Anyway, that's we're going to get to just now. But back to the Chris Watts situation, right? So he's also looking under the things in. So the tactic they used there is that they brought the local media to come and record him. So they asked him, when last did you speak? No, I spoke to her this time and that time. Okay, when last did this happen? When last did that? And from that footage of him, and they asked him the same questions over and over. And he kept adjusting his answers, right? And that already is like one of the signs that someone's lying when they're not sticking to the same story all the time. They're adjusting their answers, they're shifting their answers around because now they're overthinking. Then in America, they have the body cam footage, right? Where the cops wear the body cams and whatever. And so the cops...
In South Africa, we have TikTok.
In South Africa, if the cops have to wear body cam footage, they'll switch that thing off all the time, bro, because the amount of bribes these guys are taking is ridiculous.
In South Africa, we have lives of the bystanders.
Hi, bro. We as the citizens, and part of the reason this Joslin case actually went as far as it did is because the citizens were making a noise. The TikTok people were making a noise. Some of the influencers were making a noise. And then, of course, Gayton and PA was making probably the biggest noise. They were all over the show, doing shows, doing stuff to get the... some people say, they're trying to get clout. It is what it is, if that's your opinion on the case. But the point is that they made a bunch of noise.
At this point, you can sit there at home and say, people... and even the parties are fighting with one another. We're not here to get clout or whatever. The reality is, get the job done.
Get the job done,
got the job
if
done.
If you get in the cloud, it's part of the deal, but get the job done.
I mean, he went as far as getting lie. They spent money to get this thing
Did they
going.
get lie detectors?
She did a lie detector test and she passed. The mother.
Sure.
Yes.
I didn't know that part. No. I heard about it, but I didn't know it actually happened.
Gayton got through to a lie detector test and everything. There's a lot of resources that went into this.
He even put up a 250,000 to say if someone knows what happened, here's the money.
So don't tell me about clout. Put your money where your mouth is. The man is literally there on the ground. He's the president of the party. He's there on the ground searching. I mean, we had Umbiza, Ashley saw them live at 3 o'clock in the morning running and looking for this child and not in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And you can say it's a show or whatever, maar wie wil 'n show doen 3 in die oggend? I'm just saying.
And wie wil heel dag sit en wakker?
These are people that are busy and getting things done. So I'm saying just get the job done. And if there's a lot of parties that wants to get involved, get the job done. And as you die scope kry, great,
then
whatever.
It's part of the deal.
But the crux of the matter is this child. And is this child of you... I want to move on to something different. So do you want to say?
Wait, let me just round
finish-
off that Chris Watts
Okay,
thing.
yeah.
So the tactic that was used there is that the media was shooting, and then they and the body cam footage, and they basically took all that footage and all that information, and then they started punching holes into his story, and based on that, they started getting closer to the fact that it seems like us, had something to do with it. And then the whole interrogation thing happened. And they were very smart and psychological how they managed the interrogation. And then they got his father in for the emotional side of things. And then when his father asked him, bruh, tell the truth, what happened? Then he now broke down and said, hey, bruh, I killed them, I buried them here, blah, 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 blah. And then the whole story now came out. So in this case, there's again a lot of interviews that were done, a lot of questions that were asked, they went to go fetch the 1-0 and had him in the car, interrogated him. Where was he? What was he with? And In the Joslin case, they put him in one of Gaten's vans, and they were like, where were you? And who were you with? And who did you see there? And They tried to just get information out of this guy. And I think it was part of the tactic also to try and get closer to the answer. Because I think the whole country is sitting here wondering, what happened to the child? Where? Who took the child? Who's involved here? But if it is that there's a higher power involved as far as people higher up in government, or people higher up close to the president, or people where they're scared to, which is not something that is out of the bounds of possibility. We saw it with the Jeffrey Epstein case. All of a sudden, Osama commits suicide. And the reason is because so many higher ups would have been implicated by the situation.
Look, a lot of the stuff, and as much as it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but a lot of the stuff, if we have to go back on the drug market or whatever, it's fueled onto the black market because it makes more money. But a lot of the people in power sit behind those things because they make the most money, right? I know that there was, I don't want to speak out of turn, but there was a situation with the whole weed and marijuana production and whatever, and why it hasn't been legalized in certain areas in South Africa and in Namibia, because they make more
Some
money.
of the government people were making money out of it.
Make more money out of it if it's on the black market, right? So here's the thing with human trafficking. Very few people know that South Africa, Joburg specifically, but South Africa is the hub for human trafficking. People go in and people come out. Many kids go missing. There are many organizations in South Africa that deal with missing persons cases every day, right? Because people are being sold like drugs. Kids are being sold like it's a packet of tuck. And it's sad because and parents are involved. Sometimes parents are involved. I mean, there's cases of kids being picked up at school outside the schools. We have a situation where, we know of someone that the child was almost taken from school the other day. And the reason why people try to do these things is because they actually get it right. It's a big syndicate. And I'm telling you, people don't run syndicates if there isn't
money or something involved.
And people higher up involved. Because why is it that we just can't unravel the syndicates? Why is it that we just can't not unravel, what do you call it?
Why is it so tightly
expose?
Yeah, why is it so tightly shut?
Why is it so tightly shut? And here's the thing, is the police doing a lot? Are they doing enough? Because I watch Crime Channel, we've already exposed me now. And yes, they have their own social issues. Yes, they're not perfect or whatever. But within 48 hours, they already know who are the suspects involved, and those people get detained and they get questioned extensively and they get focused on. I mean, the mother and the boyfriend is the last to have seen this child. That's considered a suspect. I'm not saying it's the case, mother went to work, whatever. I'm just saying, what happens in Crime Channel or whatever.
They should be questioned.
They should be questioned extensively.
But apparently now they have been taken in.
But how many days? It's been 2.5 weeks. How many days did it take for that to take place?
And also there's public pressure. And back to the comment that was made is that without that public pressure, I don't think they would have even pushed any further. I think it would have just been one of those where the child is gone missing and that's it. But the public pressure, the fact that Gayton is putting pressure and that he has a bit of influence as well. Not a bit, he has quite a lot of influence. The fact that there's a lot of influential TikTokers and social media followers and social media personalities that are making a fuss about it is contributing to the fact that there's actually some sort of momentum towards coming to a conclusion. Even the AKA thing, like, because of the public pressure to say, bruh, it's been a year, no one's saying anything, what's going on here? It kind of pushes and it opens up the question for the South African police force, do they only work when they're getting exposed? It goes back to even that other story with that insurance. Remember that woman that I think the husband died or something, and they were supposed to pay out X amount.
She contacted 702.
And then they didn't want to pay it out, and they were giving her the runaround. And then when she made it public, and when the people, the actual citizens of the country started withdrawing their contracts from that company, I can't remember which company it was, Old Mutual or someone. It wasn't. I can't remember Momentum. Nah? When the people started saying, look, if you're not going to pay this woman out, that means you're going to do this to us tomorrow. That means if something happens to us and you're going to come with stories.
Are you allowed to mention names? I'm just asking.
I mean, it was a public thing. It was a thing that everyone was talking about. And the fact that woman went to the public to say, look, if we're not going to put pressure on us people, tomorrow it can be you. Tomorrow something can happen to you, then they're also going to start you with the same story. We have to expose them. We have to make a fuss about it. We have to make a noise about it. And they ended up having to pay out. But the question I'm asking is, must we first, as a public, come out and turn it into something before the police take it seriously, before the companies actually take us seriously? Because whatever happened to just doing your job, bruh? Whatever happened to just old school integrity that, hey, look here, this is my span, I must get it done. What just happened to old school? And we see it all throughout government institutions, where you look at even just trying to go for your passport, trying to go for your ID, trying to just get a document sorted out from Home Affairs. It's like there's no integrity anymore. It's like,
if we have to just come back to the layman, to the citizen, right? There's the powers that be, and we know that the systems are corrupt. We know that we're not going to get the necessary resources when we need it, because had something been done in the first 48 hours, maybe there would have been a different outcome.
Maybe it could have been stopped even.
Maybe it could have been stopped. Because if we knew that our police was on point, maybe it would make someone think twice before they do something.
But this is not just a South African thing. If you watch the movie Sound of Freedom, you see it happening in America also. You see it happening there because also, where the higher ups were also involved. And that guy, remember, Sound of Freedom is based on a true story. And the guy who wrote the story and is telling the story is the agent that was involved in the whole thing. And he came out and said, he got pressure from higher ups to say, hey, bruh, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Then he said, no, I'm not going to leave it alone. Then he got a phone call. It's in the movie. Then he got a phone call to say, look here, if you're going to carry on with us, your life is going to be in danger. So he said, also, y'all are threatening me now. Why are you threatening me? Because who's involved here that's threatening me? Because some higher ups knew that they're benefiting somehow from the situation and they wanted him to leave it alone. And he decided to go out on his own. And he had to make his own arrangements and phone his own friends and go undercover and try and do which is based on a true story. And in that way, if you're not going to find somebody in society or somebody, and this is the power, and this is what I want to say to us as citizens of a country, right, like South Africa, where corruption is rife, and we can't depend on the South African police force, and we can't depend on the government, we can't depend on, we know Cyril is corrupt, Zuma was corrupt, the whole thing is just rotten to the core. We can't depend on those people. If we want to see something done, it's literally going to boil down to us as the citizens, the people who have conscience, a conscience, the people who have, what is the conscience? The people who have morals, the people who have integrity to come and say, you know what, guys, if we're not going to push and fight here, then nothing's going to happen. If we're not going to make a noise, if we're not going to use our social media platforms, if we're not going to post this picture, if we're not going to make a fuss about it, then bruh, nothing's gonna come
I
right.
just want to interject there, and I think it's important. Yes, we have to make a fuss about something, and you know, social media has become a powerful platform. But like I've said before, that there is balance when something is in the investigation. Let us make noise that this person is missing, yes, but let us not go to the extent where we interfere with the investigation.
Yeah, when we
because
start saying things that are not
that
true.
are not true. And I think that is very cruel and very inhumane, because this is a child's life. And going back to us as the citizens, right? We live in the communities, and it's our responsibility, and we live in a very sick world. It's our responsibility to make sure our kids are safe. Now we have a situation where the mother is speculated to be involved. And I know that this is always a thing, because remember, it's about the maternal instinct. So when something happens, a parent separate or whatever, you would think that the safest place for a child is with their mother. It
Is at
should
home,
be.
yeah.
It should be. I mean, if the father is not present, it's usually the mother gets the kids, because the mother is more maternal. The mother will take care of the kids. The mother will sort of certain things. But remember, there's other social ills at play as well. And there's many a times that people, I mean, mothers that have left their children with their boyfriends, it's always the boyfriend that did something, that either got to the child, did something sexual to the child or something. Not always, but in most cases. And what happens is, if you have an upstanding boyfriend now that really wants to be there, now that is also tainted. You know, we're not negating the fact that there are guys out there that are good, that do come into like a family like that and want to be a parent figure to the child. We're not negating those people, but more often than not, and it depends on the situation, where the situation is. Like, this is a drug, I can't say infested, but drug using home. There's questions to be raised. Yeah, how do I leave my child, my daughter, with someone that doesn't have a paternal or maternal instinct to this child?
So
right?
even that
It's
even brings into
important.
question the actual father, the biological father that lives in Springbok. It's like it's difficult for him to come and now want to say something if he wasn't involved. You know, it kind of I'm gonna say the word, and I don't mean it to be as harsh as it actually sounds, but it's the only word that makes sense. It kind of disqualifies him almost. It's like, bro, you can't come now, sit here and look like you worried. It's
I hear what you're saying.
Were you involved in this child's life? Are you present in this child's life? If yes, then yeah, by all means, then of course he's involved, he's
having
present,
said
he's
that,
pushing. But if he's not involved, it makes it hard for someone watching from the outside. It makes it easier for me to say, that's now he wants to come here, but he wasn't involved. It's easy for someone to say that.
I hear what you're saying, but we can't negate that he still has pain, regardless of the fact that, you know, he might not have been. It was nog steeds sy kind. And you
But
never,
you understand the point that I'm making. It's like easy for
saying.
someone to come and say, why are you all of a sudden
I
worried?
hear
You
what you're
weren't
saying,
here the whole
but
time.
it doesn't make it right for us to say it. But
No, it doesn't make it right.
I hear what you're
He's
saying,
still the
though.
father.
No, but I hear what you're saying. And, you know, we never know what transpired. What was the separation agreement? Why did they separate? What happened there? Because he has 2 kids with the mother, Joslin's mother. And he's now coming out to say that he wants custody of the kids. Given that, you know, Joslin's whereabouts is in question. And then there's 2 more children in that home. So the question is, are we going to leave the kids there, or is it a traumatic experience for this child, for the children to be removed from their mother? There's a lot of social things that you now have to. I mean, was she involved is the question. Was she really involved? Or did she just leave a child because she trusted a child with her boyfriend, and she left a child because she trusted him, and the child was sick? Was that the truth? We don't know these aspects.
I have a very, very I have a very serious, difficult question to ask the audience and to ask you also today. And I want you guys please to comment and what your answer, right? This is a moral dilemma question, and this is a conversation we had, I think, yesterday or the day before. In the event that the situation like this happens, like we say we're putting ourselves in a mother's shoes, or we're putting ourselves in this father's shoes. And the reason I'm saying in this father's shoes is because we're now talking about, he wants now custody and he wants this and that, but the child is gone. Yeah? The moral question I want to ask, and I please want you guys to answer as well. If the child has been trafficked, let's just say you put yourself in his position now, or even the mother's position.
I know where this is going.
And the child is being trafficked. Yeah, because we had the conversation yesterday.
Not just yesterday, we've had this conversation.
And you know that by now the child has probably been violated in all sorts of ways. Right? The question is, and I want to ask you this question. Would you prefer to know that your child has passed on and that your child is, especially if you're a Christian, is now in heaven and is safe? Or would you actually want your child back? And the reason I'm saying it's a big moral dilemma.
It's a very controversial statement to make.
It's a very I'm not making a statement, I'm asking a question.
Okay, rather question to ask.
And that's the point. That's why I'm saying it's a heavy question. Because now your child let's say they find your child. Your child has been all sorts of ways violated. What kind of child do you get back? And that's the hard question I'm asking. You get back a child with psychological issues, with mental issues, with suicidal tendencies.
Does that mean you shy away
that can't get plugged back into society because of this traumatic experience? That down the line, all the trauma that comes with what the child had to go through and what the child had to face. Or do you sit there and say, maybe it's better that my child has passed on and is in a better place, as opposed to my child is being violated, my child is being all sorts, especially if the child is, you don't know where the child is. What is your thought process around that? If you were laying in bed at night thinking, I would feel better if my child was just gone.
I have...
As opposed to, I don't know where my child is. I don't know what they're doing with my child. I don't know who is busy with my child. I don't know where the child finds himself. Like that movie, Sound of Freedom. He goes and fetches that child on some weird deep forest there, and he finds the child. And when he finds the child there, because remember that's based on a true story, he keeps the child's mouth closed and says, "Shh, I'm here to help you. Come with me." And then he fetches the child and he gives the child back to the father. So that movie ends with a happy ending as it relates to that. However, now the child that you are getting back is not the child that they took when they kidnapped your child.
So for me, coming from a Christian standpoint, for me, are we going to put a limit on God's grace and on God? What his intentions and what his plans are, and we know that his plans are plans to prosper, not to harm us, right? So for me in that state is that it's my child, and my child is safe now. Yes, we're going to have to deal with things now. Yes, we're going to have to go through things now, and God forbid, I'd never want that to happen to anyone's child. I don't want that to happen to my child.
The reality is it's happening to people.
It's happening to
as we sit in here now.
And you know what we have? We just have prayer. I mean, we've got systems in place, and people find ways around these systems. I mean, the other day that happened where they tried to do that at a school which has a system in place, given that it was intercepted, and you know, kudos to the school for that. But these Owens are doing it because they get it right somewhere. You know, that's why they're doing it. But my thing is this. I've thought about this because I've watched a lot of, and I stopped watching it because I become so emotionally involved in it that there's no closure with the missing persons case or kids that go missing or whatever, and they don't find these children, and the mothers and the parents speak of this when the kids go missing and they don't find the child or even just remains of this child. There's no closure. There's years and years of wondering, is my child okay? Did my child eat? Is my child safe?
Now, that's what I'm saying.
There's years of torment.
If this is if my point is controversial, then I'll take my point. But me personally, I would have a lot more peace of mind and closure knowing that my child is no more. I would feel a lot more. At least I know my child is not somewhere being violated. At least I know.
I think that comes into play with
that thought of uncertainty. Where is my child? What is my child doing? What are they doing to my child?
When it comes,
I'd rather feel
when it comes to a missing person like
at least
that,
I know my child is
you find either you find the child or you find the remains of the child, which then brings closure to the whole aspect. Because you've spoken to mothers who have lost their children and they found the remains, and they're like, even if it's after years. The other day I watched one where after I think 20 years they found the remains of her daughter, and her daughter was in her 20s when she was kidnapped, and and she worked all those years to find her child, and the closure was, my kind het nie meer pyn nie. My child doesn't have any more pain. My child doesn't.
But I want to ask
that closure. But when it comes to finding your child, it still brings a sense of closure, I think, to some. And for me, I would want my child back. But I would want closure as opposed to sitting with open-ended like thoughts. I don't know
but
where my child is.
I want to ask the audience in the comments if what would make sense, and if my thought process is really that taboo.
I'm not saying it's taboo. I'm just saying it's a valid question to ask. What would you feel? Because I think that has to do from person to person. What is your feel about it?
But for me, bruh, I would feel a lot more comfortable knowing my child is in heaven with Jesus.
Look,
and
there's
no random man busy violating. I'll feel a lot more comfortable knowing that.
Where we know that children go to heaven, right? They're at peace, they're with God. We know that as Christians, that is our belief. That is what we know to be. So it's a different scenario. But when you're in the flesh and you're sitting here and as a mother, it torments you. What did my child go through? And even in that space, what pain did why wasn't I there? Because naturally and generally it is we want to protect.
And now you start blaming yourself.
We want to protect.
I should have been there earlier.
I should have been there earlier.
Why didn't I fetch the child this time? It's because I went here first. Am I being selfish? Now you have all these questions.
You have all these questions that torment you, and that psychological aspect now, the family has to deal with it. Remember, when there's a death in the family, it's not just one person dealing with it. Or the person that has died. It is literally the people that are left behind that is left to pick up these pieces now. Because in the case of Joslin now, yes, there's the mother and the boyfriend, but let's speak about the father. Regardless of what the situation might be, that was his child. And he now has thoughts of, maybe I should have taken my children. Maybe I should have intervened a long time ago. He needs to now deal with things that, decisions that is made. And that doesn't mean, okay, now we get to point a finger at him. That's not the way out. Then there's the grandparents involved. There's the aunts, the uncles who was there, because remember, it takes a village to raise a child. These are people that was involved in the child's life. I mean, the mother's cousin came out and she was very adamant. She said from the start, she was the one that had a conversation and said this mother knows where this child is. It was Kelly's the mother. It was her cousin that came out, and she's involved with SAPS. So there's these the family members that also has to deal with everything that's at hand here. So going back to parenting and look, as a parent, we can only do so much, but we have to do our utmost best. I'm not saying let's be helicopter moms and be to the point where our children can't live, because at the end of the day, we only have prayer.
And where you also can't
where
live.
You can't live, you in constant paranoia and whatnot. But we have to do our utmost best to have our children in safe environments. It's our responsibility. It's our first responsibility to take care. Our children didn't ask to be here. Our children are here as a result of our own actions and decisions that we made. So it's our responsibility to take care of them and make sure there'll come a time when they are adults and they have to make their own decisions, and then it's out of our hands. But it's our responsibility as far as we can to take care of our children and make sure our children are in specific in safe environments. Yes, we have to discipline our children and all of that, but we have to do it in a safe space, not borderlining abuse, not abusing our children, because remember, that is keeping our kids safe, is to discipline our children, because then we create functional adults who will then have to integrate into society, that have to then be the adults of tomorrow, and other people's children have to be in our children's presence. So, there's all these social aspects that are at play. But for us as parents, and me just drawing a close to parenting and how we see, there's no rule book on parenting, but we have to keep our children safe. And yes, discipline is part of keeping our children safe. We're praying for Joslin, and that she may still be alive. We're praying that for the parents and the people involved, and also there's great thanks, and I think from a lot of people that are seeing the hard work of people that are getting involved, the PA, there's other parties that got involved, church organizations that got involved, the citizens that got involved, to make things happen, to see that there's progress in the case of Joslin.
Alright, guys, drop your comments in the comment sections, your thoughts, your ideas, what you think, what you could have, should have, what you think would have worked, what didn't work, what works. And then definitely we'll continue to read all the comments in the comment section. But that's it from us. It's just a heavy time in the country at the moment.
Topic, yeah.
Even Monday it was a heavy topic, but it's what's happening, and it's unfortunate. But I still, my closing remarks would be, us as citizens, let's be active citizens. If we see something, let's say something. If we can help someone, let's help that person. Let's not say, it's not my business. No. If you're seeing an old lady getting robbed, or something's happening, or someone's driving irresponsibly or doing something, it's going to be, because it's nice for the criminals that we just say, we don't want to get involved. It makes it easier for them, because it's like, none's going to do anything. But now that citizens are starting to make a noise, that in fact there's a lot more videos going around of people even shooting back now. People saying, that woman that bumped her, that tried to hijack her and then she bumped him. There's another video of that also tried to hijack another guy and he bumped him. So it's
people are pushing back.
People are starting to say, if the police is not going to do anything and no one cares, then we're going to do something for ourselves, because clearly no one's going to help us. If we don't help ourselves here, it's basically just becoming, what's that movie where they unlock a certain day and then the purge. It's like becoming the purge. It's like every man for himself, bruh. You must. If you're not gonna, last week, 2 weeks ago on the M1, they were basically just robbing people on a highway, a full highway. How does that even happen? On a full highway, they busy robbing while in a broad daylight. Remember, criminals used to steal at night. Yeah. Now they someone do it while everyone's watching.
Around. Now they're doing it brazenly.
My question is this: if you're walking in a mall and you see, which we've seen before, and we made a noise, either we do something or we go tell the security, hey, do something here. If you see someone doing, and there was a story where the little girl was in the lift also, and then somebody saw something, and the girl also saw, hey, that's always trying to take me.
And this was at the Glen.
Yeah.
This was at the Glen, yeah.
If you see something, imagine it was your little son or your little daughter, and you know that this guy was standing there, he saw the whole thing, he just stood there and said, it's not my business. Imagine that guy did something and it could have saved your child that day. Imagine that guy said, hey, what are you doing? That's not your child, leave the child. And it could have saved your child that day. As opposed to now you sitting and wondering, I wonder where's my child? I wonder who took the child. They jumped in the car, they gone, we can't find the child. But if a citizen in the mall, or if somebody else that saw what was going on said, hey, Vachje, this is not your child. What are you doing here? A teacher at school, someone, we must say something.
We must say something.
Us keeping quiet is helping the criminals to get away with it. We must say something. I'm not saying put your life now in danger, now you getting shot and things, but do something to try. If you see the old trying to cut him off with your car or something, bruh, do something to try and help. Don't just leave. There they take a child. Now we post. Now we want to post pictures all over. The child is gone. But you saw it. cut the, or even if he bumps your car, bro, at least you save the child.
Spa is one of the places that I didn't want to go to in the past. And I mean, our kids are older now. Our kids, we've taught our kids, if someone takes you, you scream, you bite, you kick, you scream. And these are the things that we basically instill in our kids. But when we sit there, we were there not too long ago, and there was this little baby in the family. They had a party, and people get in conversation. You feel like you're in a safe space, so you get more relaxed. And this baby was walking around. I've got my eyes on that kid because
if I see something
suspicious,
I'm jumping in.
The kids are running up and down. I've got my eyes. Xavier's, when we go sit, we barely have conversations. We have conversations, but our eyes are darting to see what's happening, what is our
surroundings. Because I would expect that from someone. If someone tries to take my child, I would expect someone to say, hey, where you going with that child?
Where you going? I want to say, whoa, guys, are you guys related? Sometimes we come across as Karens, whatever, but when it comes to kids,
I'd rather be a Karen. You must rather look at me funny. Instead of here tomorrow, the child is gone.
Because I don't want to hear tomorrow, but you saw, why didn't you say anything? Exactly. That guilt will eat me alive.
Exactly. So rather,
let's check out for each other's kids.
Let's look out for it. We know the government doesn't worry. We know the police also doesn't worry. I know that's a harsh statement to make, but I mean, it's just
we have each other.
Shown over time that Jay and I had this conversation on Monday on our show. We would have rather phoned the security company in the area before we phoned the police, because the possibility that they're going to do something as opposed to the police going to do something is a lot higher. The chances that the Hercules gents or the BBR gents or the Chubb gents or whoever are going to come and jump over and come help you. I remember BBR back in the day. But the Chubb the chances that he's going to jump and come help you is a lot more likely than the police. The police going to come in 3 hours later.
There was someone being robbed or something and they called 702. They call and they're like, but you need to call. No.
They're like, yeah, bro, people were phoning 702. They're like, why are you not phoning the police? They're like, because what do you mean? The police are not going to do anything.
I have a better chance with calling you guys, So we have each other. So let's look out for one another. I know sometimes we can come across as Karens, and I know it's a big social media trend now. The Karens. But if you see something and you can do something in your power, try to intervene and just be there for someone else so that we can prevent something. I mean, that was the case in the week. Someone's intervene and said, whoa, hey, this is not the case, and be alert.
And it saved your whole child's life.
Yeah.
Instead of now we putting on social media, this child is gone missing. A teacher saw or adult saw and said, whoa, I don't recognize you. What's your story? Bruh, even if you look like a Karen, I don't care, bruh. It's better to look like a Karen and be wrong than to daar gaan die kind and you didn't say anything. So Geraldo is saying closure is very vital for everyone involved. How can we move on in this case if we have no closure? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our time. Thank you for watching. Please do continue the conversation until we find her, and not only her. There's so many other children all the time. Let's be vigilant, guys. Let's be vigilant. Let's look out for one another. They say it says it takes a village to raise a kid. Let's look out for one another. If you would like someone to jump in if it was your child, just as much if it's someone else's child, jump in, check what you can do, help where you can help. Don't just leave the thing if you see something's off. Sitting in a restaurant, you see this always looking suspicious. Rather be a Karen, my brother or my sister, than to something happens to the child. So see you on the next one. I love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show.
Xavier used to be my boyfriend, then my fiance, and then my husband, so he's my ex-boyfriend.
We decided that we needed to spice this up.